Hey, it's Kellen, and right now I want you to get the game. Usually I'm on diversified game, hearing the game from other people, but I want to give you the game and talk about my MSW journey that I am taking. And I want you to understand why this could also help you, especially with all this talk about AI is going to take this, AI is going to take that. But let's talk about the massive gap that no one is talking about, or many people actually talking about it. You could Google it and you could see. But I'm Kellen Cash, Coleman, and this is really the beginning of my MSW journey online and on purpose because this program that I'm doing is fully online, and there's even ways to do practicums and even internships online. But right now, social work in America is over 80% female. Women are carrying this field on their back, and they deserve respect for that. But here's the part that should stop you cold. Less than 20% of social workers are men. And I experienced this even when I worked in that type of field, even as a counselor or in CPS. But when you even narrow that down to black men, we are barely present. So this is not a coincidence. This is like a crisis because people always can relate some of their most traumatic times or the things that they don't want to say to people who they understand. And it's not just because, oh, you're black or you're a male, this is going to happen. But what we do know is men need to talk to men. And so, what we are missing in the field, we are needed the most. And this is not just a staffing issue, but this is a representation issue. This is about trust. This is about access. This is about outcomes. And it's not to blame because if we're not trying to get in this field or if we're getting burnt out, which I just spoke to a guy, we are sitting Spirit first class, right? In the big seat. And he just wasn't burnt out. He was kind of pushed out. And he had even health issues where he wasn't feeling protected in a place where you're always talking about other people's protection. So if you are a black man and you're watching this, understand something clearly. This is a help wanted sign on the soul of our communities. And right now, the door is wide open. And don't think, oh, because of whatever happened in the past, you can't get in this door. I have met people who have done federal time, state time, and they got their MSW and they got, they were hired and they're running stuff. Sometimes they're even pastors now. So, this is not charity work. This is strategy for you to AI proof yourself as well. So now let me talk directly to my brothers coming out of the military. You already understand systems, you understand pressure, you understand responsibility, you understand what it means to operate inside government structures, chain of command, and mission focused environments. When veterans come home, they do not just need someone to talk to, they need someone who understands the weight of service, someone who understands the VA, whether you have a good experience with that or you have a bad. You can hear it on both sides, depending on where you live, especially someone who understands bureaucracy, someone who understands how identity shifts when the uniform comes off. And this can be for military, this can be for police officers, law enforcement of any form. This could also be for people who are coming out of sports, and when you stop playing sports, how people treat you, high earning positions, when you stop maybe earning that money, or if you're earning that money for the first time. So this is something for you to jump into, and don't think that you can't make money doing it. Ask Gina Chat GPT. She'll show you there's various ways of making money. But as a black male social worker with an MSW, and eventually, for myself, I'm speaking for myself because you don't have to do this. I want to get an LCSW. It's not just a counselor. He becomes a translator between worlds, between military life and civilian life, between trauma and purpose. You already have the discipline if you're coming out of the military. The MSW just adds the clinical authority to your lived experience. And if you're not military, you still may have some discipline, especially if you played sports your whole life or something like that. Now, let me talk to another group that I touched upon, but I want to go deeper, that rarely gets spoken to honestly. And this is where, if you do have an MSW, you can really make some money from what we've seen and the people we've talked to. Even my therapist told me, he's like, yeah, you got to get your CFSW after you do that. And I got it actually before, because when I spoke to the founder of it, she confirmed something that I was thinking, but she confirmed it. And she's like, it's not going to get any cheaper. But it is tapping into people, no matter what color they are, whatever sex they are, the first generation high earners. You keep hearing everybody on TikTok is rich. They've retired their unborn children, their mother, their father, sometimes while selling you a course. That's kind of laughable sometimes. But, those people who say you made it, you broke the cycle, you are the only one everybody leans on, the business owner, the executive, the professional, but nobody prepared you for the pressure that comes with being first. I call it the first generation tax. So family expectations, financial guilt, emotional isolation. They say it's lonely at the top. Charleston White just told you in a video he's going to change his ways as well, because it can be lonely at the top, but it's sometimes because the people that you're coming up with, like Sean Cotton, aren't changing with him. So he thinks that's what Charleston White. I'm just trying to put in some plugs for the algorithm to catch this, because some people find when you talk plain Jane, you don't put the fancy one-liners, you don't say, you know what I'm saying, people don't always hear you. You don't have the gold chain, you got the African wear with the millionairex.ai. Check out the app and the website on. They can't hear you. But let's go back in to carrying people who never learned how to carry themselves. And that weight shows up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, even if you have all the money, you got the full bag. So that is why this MSW journey for me includes financial social work, because we cannot talk about mental health while ignoring money stress for our community. Financial instability is emotional instability. We need more Black male social workers who understand debt, generational trauma, wealth building, boundaries. Say it again. Do it like Umar. Boundaries. Say it again. Boundaries and legacy. When you combine the clinical training with the financial literacy, you create something powerful. And we need that, because that sovereignty, that financial sovereignty, is mental health. It doesn't, the scriptures even tell you, what is it for a man to gain the world but lose his soul? And if your mind ain't there, your grind, it's gonna be thrown off. Your spouse might throw you off. Marriage manipulation is something that I coined, and I hope to go deeper into that, because people closest to you sometimes will try to manipulate you, and you got to be able to see it and set boundaries for everyone. This is where AI will never replace us, because algorithms cannot sit with shame. They cannot understand the cultural pressure, at least the way that people will do, even when we get fully AGI and ASI. I have, and I'm going to keep saying this so people understand, so many certifications that you can see on my LinkedIn for Kellen Coleman that talk about AI, and I love AI, use it every day, but they cannot navigate the family dynamics rooted in survival. Now, let us talk about the front lines, the reentry, and the juvenile detention and the prison population, because I don't know a successful person, a truly great person who's made all this money. Because let's say you could make $1 million with, an MSW, and you create something, better help or something like that, that doesn't give back. But right now, young Black boys are sitting in cells and facilities surrounded by a system that only sees their past. And they're not just young boys, but even grown men, even some of us, but when they walk out, who meets them on the other side? If the person they see does not look like them, or they don't have an example that sounds like them or understands their reality, their reentry has already failed. These young men, no matter what color, they need to see a man. And a lot of times, even the young boys who aren't black need to see black men with credentials and confidence in a plan to say, yo, this person did it. This person survived and thrived. I know it wasn't easy for them. They need to see that success does not require selling your soul. That education does not mean disconnect from your roots. So a black male social worker becomes the bridge and a role model, a daddy in some points. Yeah, a daddy in some points, no matter what that person on the other side looks like, because they know we've been through it in the way this system is run. Between detention and direction, yeah, that I mean, between trauma and design, between survival and ownership, you become a role model and you can come as yourself. You don't have to be who they are telling you to be as a male social worker. So this is where the need is greatest. This is where the opportunity is massive. And let me be clear. Artificial intelligence is not replacing this work. AI will assist this work. Please believe that. Take that to the bank. And it will support this work. And it will optimize the work. But it cannot replace human trust, lived experience, cultural understanding, and presence as we know it, at least. I know my people are going to be like, hey, let me try to show you how I can AI you and what I saw at CES. Man, I'm there with you. I'm at there with you. But, a lot of times you're saying that because you don't want to get the other education part of it, and you want to be lazy and you want to be a fool and not listen to the wisdom that the experts are telling us who are building this AI, that AI, as we know, it's not going to replace us, especially in many fields. There's some things that are low barrier that, yeah, we're going to be replaced all day. But in this, don't worry about it in your lifetime, at least, especially not when you add the LCSW to it. And that's just what it is, especially when you add your added military experience, especially not when you just add the first generation leadership. So this is the beginning. This MSW journey is not about going backwards. It's about adding leverage, another tool to the tool belt. It's not about stacking credentials just to be having them, but with a purpose, doing it online, doing it with a strategy, doing it while building business and ownership and influence. Look, I already have my businesses. They're moving, they're thriving, it's all good. I don't have to do another thing, but I feel it's part of my purpose. And, moving forward from the office to the facilities or to making policy, from the hood to the high rise, that's something that I want to do, from surviving to structuring. And if you're watching this and it's something you say, you know what, I've been thinking about it. Maybe your spouse been pushing you like mine's been pushing me for a decade to like, just go get the education, watch what happens. That is called a calling. This is a series about that journey, the gaps, the strategy, the work. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad. I'm also doing some structuring with people one-on-one and in groups to say which college could be best for you, which university could be best for you, because I picked a school that I could do 100% online with the education and experience that I already had, which might not be great for you. You might need to be in the classroom, but I've already been a supervisor of a step-down program of an acute residential treatment program in Massachusetts. I already worked for the Phoenix Academy and the CPS and children's emergency shelter cares. I've done so much of that work and created programs that my way might be different, but you can do it. And if you're a black man considering this path, if you're a man considering this path, even if you're a woman, understand this. The field needs you. The community needs you, and the future is wide open. I'm just getting started on the series. You guys could help me by liking this stuff, making comments where you have questions or even constructive criticism, and even sharing this game with people. Like I tell you on my Diversified Game podcast, share this game with people. You don't know what will change somebody's life, but we want to make content like this that's clear, with clarity, that can actually help some people. I don't want to just talk about, this could make you rich. I don't know what your purpose is, but rich is really health. That's the real wealth. It's your family. So if you want more of this game, show that to me in sharing this and liking and engaging with it. Just don't be a spectator. You guys, I'll give you some more game later on, God willing. You guys keep being you. Improve 1% every day. You'll see a whole new you.